Happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to the channel, Rowdy Nation TV. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving. I hope it went down without no flaws, no interruptions, and everybody enjoyed their family members. But in this case here, with Paul Michael Murhige back in 2009, he wasn't invited to his family Thanksgiving Day dinner. He just actually showed up out the blue. Now, he was estranged from his family for over 20 years. And like I said before, he showed up out the blue to a Thanksgiving Day dinner with his family members. It was like 16 people presiding at this Thanksgiving Day dinner. Now there, he sang songs, he ate, he acted like nothing was wrong. You know what I mean? He hadn't seen his family in 20 years. Actually, a lot of people were surprised that he even showed up, right? Because they hadn't seen this guy in over 20 years. Now, Paul Michael Murhige, now he sat through 3 hours of Thanksgiving Day dinner. And like I said before, he was singing songs around the piano. He was eating, you know. There was nothing wrong. He didn't show a hint that anything would be wrong. But then, all of a sudden, he went to his car, he retrieved his weapon, he came back, he opened fire, and after he opened fire, one of the witnesses said he heard him saying, "I've waited 20 years to do this." There were no arguments, no signs, no red flags before the rampage. Murhige shot his two twin sisters, one who was pregnant. He shot his auntie, 79-year-old aunt, and he also shot a 6-year-old little girl. He had this whole thing pre-planned. His goal was to shoot his sisters and punish his parents, Sitten said. Now, Sitten is the husband of one of the sisters. Now, he was also shot in the stomach too. So basically, this guy went in there and he opened fire among 16 family members. He killed 4 and he shot 2. And the 2 survivors, and one of them being the 6-year-old girl's father. Now, it's not exactly clear who he had shot first, but the bloodbath could have been worse with the 16 family members. Now, Murhige, 35 years old, also pointed the gun at his uncle, pulled the trigger twice, but it wouldn't fire. Now, that's very lucky for his uncle, right? Sitten's home is in an upscale gated community in Jupiter. I kind of figured it might be an upscale home because, you know, they're playing the piano, that just gives me, I mean, a lot of people probably have pianos, but I'm just saying, when I heard the word piano, it just seemed like it was like a pretty nice home. His daughter, McKaylee, wrote on cards how thankful she was for her family and strung them throughout a clothesline after dinner. She sang songs as the part of an impromptu dress rehearsal for a performance of the Nutcracker. When she sang those songs, it seemed as if Murhige, I don't know, it seemed like he was getting upset. Like the family, you know what, in this story right here, to be honest with you, they never really gave a clear reason why this man was so upset and why he massacred his family, you know. Sitten and his wife cousins was always on the fringe of family life and rarely attended gatherings. He only met Murhige twice and hadn't seen him in more than a decade. So as you see, this guy hadn't been around the family for more than a decade. So after 10 years of seeing this dude, what could this guy be festering, sitting back thinking about, that made him so mad about his family? Now, Sitten said Murhige methodically picked off the victims, shooting his twin sisters, Carla Murhige, a real estate agent, Lisa Knight, who was pregnant, and Murhige also shot his aunt, which I said before, Ramonda Joseph, age 76. Brother-in-law Patrick Knight was in critical but stable condition at a hospital after he was shot. Clifford Gabriel, 52, was grazed by a bullet. Sitten doesn't think that Murhige planned to kill Michaela, but he thinks he became jealous when he saw the family delight over her singing. Now, he tried to snuff out the light, Satan said. He came into a baby's room, saw her innocence, and walked in and purposely killed her. Now, this is a crazy story, right? Where a guy who hasn't been around his family for over 10, 15 years or whatever, and he's been thinking about ending their lives, ending their existence. For what reason, I don't know. But I'm going to try to get into it and try to break this. I'm not a psychologist or anything like this, but we're going to try to break this down a little bit, because this guy, he was well-liked and he was very driven when he was coming up, right? When he was, in school, he graduated third in his class, right? He was in the honor society. For all means and stuff like that, by all means, he looked like a candidate to be successful in life, right? But after he graduated from prep school, a private prep school, his mother and father continued to take care of him until he was an adult, right? So things in his life really wasn't going right. And I think he was just a jealous, self-indulged individual, right? I think that sometimes when you have this privilege and you think that everything is afforded to you and it should just fall into your lap, and if things don't work out that way, a lot of people can't handle the stress. You know what I mean? And they're looking for somebody to blame. And I think he eyed his family. I think his one sister was a real estate agent. I believe the other sister may have been a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. And everything was going beautiful, successfully in their lives. And here you have this guy. I don't think he was doing that well. But then again, they said that he pre-planned this. He took out $12,000 out the bank, and he went to the gun store and bought a gun. He pre-planned all this stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know where he got the $12,000. That's the first thing. Where did he get $12,000? I always hear these stories about, oh, this guy was delinquent. He didn't have any money. But then when they plan these shooting sprees, they come up with all this money. So where did he get $12,000 from if he didn't have a job? Did his parents give it to him? I mean, that should tell you something right there. If he doesn't have a job, he's not doing well in life, but he has the means to come up with $12,000 out the bank. He took it out the bank. So he had $12,000 in the bank. So is his parents taking care of him that much? That shows to me that this guy is a spoiled, a self-indulged individual, right? He probably, and he's hating on his sisters because their life, he couldn't have the life that they have. Now, before I go any further, he had threatened his sister before in the past. And he threatened his sister. She called and put a restraining order on him, but she had the restraining order lifted like about 2 or 3 weeks later. And there have been mental issues in Paul Michael Murray's life. He's been, I'm not sure if he was diagnosed with some kind of schizophrenia or some kind of mental deficiency, but they did say that there was some mental issues involved with Paul Michael Murray. But to me, that doesn't explain the callousness, the pre-planning that he did to kill his family members. No, that doesn't explain that to me. That, I don't think mental illness has anything to do with this right here. I don't. I just think that this guy was, of course he's crazy. He has some type of mental issues, but I think he knew exactly what he was doing, right? He has consciousness of his guilt. You know what I mean? I want to say he was very conscious and aware of what he was doing. You don't go to a gun store, buy an assault rifle with several magazines, take $12,000 out the bank, and plan your escape route. You don't do that, right? If you don't have some type of awareness. So that shows me that you're aware, you've been thinking. That's not a mental deficiency where you don't know, where I'm like insane and I don't know what I'm doing. This guy right here knew exactly what he was doing, because after he shot and killed 4 of his family members, he ran to the Florida Keys. He was in the Florida Keys for over a month, for about 35, 38 days. This guy was on the loose before they could find him. You know what I'm saying? If anybody who was insane and didn't know what they were doing, they probably wouldn't even try to escape. You know what I'm saying? Most likely, what I was thinking of, they would have tried to kill themselves. I don't know. Leave a comment in my comment section to tell me what you think. I'm thinking that they probably would have tried to kill themselves and instead of just trying to maybe rent a car. He didn't rent a car, I'm sorry, but he had another car that he used. It was an older car that he hadn't been using for a while. He knew exactly what he was doing because I think this car that he had wasn't in his name. So they couldn't find out, they didn't know what car that he was actually in, right? It wasn't his main use of car. So this guy was showing everything about pre-planning this murder. It was deliberate. It was deliberate, and it's very sad that this happened on Thanksgiving. It's very sad on whatever day it happened that you would go and annihilate your family. But around Thanksgiving, that during this time of the holidays where, we're all getting together with family, like I said before, there's sometimes we don't see some of my family for the whole year. And then when the holidays come around, that's when we invite everybody or people come and they show up. And we just try to reminisce and have a good time, before we get back to work for the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? Just give thanks and for the blessings that God has bestowed upon us. And that's the time we like to get together with my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my nieces, and my nephews. And never in life would I think that, one of my family members would come over, sit with us, have dinner with us, sing with us, drink with us, and then go out to their car and grab an assault rifle and come back in and callously murder your family. That to me is just crazy. And like I said before, RIP goes out to the victims, and to the survivors, into the survivors. They eventually caught this guy after 35 days on the run in the Florida Keys at a motel. He was eventually put on America's Most Wanted, and the owner of the hotel that he was at seen it and noticed it and called the police. The police arrived, and they arrested him with no incident. You know what I mean? He actually was on his computer when they kicked the door in and arrested this guy for killing his family. And he finally ended up admitting that he killed his 4 family members. Which is devastating. I can only imagine a 6-year-old girl sleeping in her bed, after enjoying a holiday dinner and with family, and then somebody comes in her room and snuffs her life out like that. That's just crazy to me. Your own family member, right? And then this dude right here, he kills his own twin sisters. That's amazing. You kill your own twin sisters. What can you have going on in your head against your family that you could do that on a day where we're all getting together after you sat and you enjoyed their company and laughed and drank with them like that? That's amazing to me. But nothing really surprises me in this world anymore. It's I don't think anything. I'm not an optimist when it comes to what's going on in the world. It seems like everything is just getting worse. But like I said before, they gave this guy 7 life sentences. He didn't receive the death penalty. For what reason, I do not know how he escaped that, especially in Florida. Florida is known for giving the death penalty out to people, right? And I think this case deserves it. I'm sorry, I do. I think this case is a perfect case for the death penalty. And that's another thing that gets me. I'm not trying to get off track right here, but there are some crimes that are so heinous and they don't get the death penalty. Can you guys explain that to me? There are some crimes, like this guy right here, he kills 4 of his family members, right? He doesn't get the death penalty. You get another guy, he may rob a liquor store and kill the clerk. He gets the death penalty. How do you equate that? How do you say this guy deserves the death penalty for killing this one person? He killed this person at his place of business, which is horrible. I think that if you have a business, you should have the right to operate your business without fear of being robbed and killed, right? But we all know that doesn't happen, right? But how do you equate give him the death penalty versus not giving Paul Michael Murray the death penalty for taking out 4 lives, right? And a 6-year-old girl to boot. You know what I mean? That is crazy to me, guys. I hope I'm not just running my mouth too much, but I came across this story, because I was, with the family, and I got on the computer and I was saying to myself, after the night that we had, such a good night, and then I came across this story about this guy snuffing out, just wiping out his whole family on Thanksgiving Day. To me, that is just unconscionable. And like I said, man, I hope every night that he goes to bed and he closes his eyes, he sees those people's faces. He sees his family member faces. I hope that he doesn't get one night of good sleep while he's in there. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said before, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying your Thanksgiving Day weekend, and I hope you guys stay blessed. Rowdy Nation TV, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so anytime I drop a video, you guys can be notified. We out.